But we'll go ahead and jump right into it with the Stallions. Like I mentioned, they fell in a really, really tight game this past weekend, 22-20 to the Houston Gamblers. Really, really weird and odd game, as the Stallions did hold a 1-point lead in the final seconds of the game, but they lost it as time expired as Gamblers kicker John Hoyland kicked his 5th field goal of the night to take a 22-20 lead, and that was all she wrote for that one. Really, this game came down to the Stallions kind of falling victim to their own inconsistencies, right? Every time the defense got a stop or a turnover, there was an interception thrown. For every tackle for loss, there was a drive-extending penalty. The Stallions just looked like, just way too inconsistent. They looked like the best team in the league at certain points, and then the worst at others. So that's something they've definitely got to iron out as the season goes on. It's still definitely early, but they've got to fix those issues. Defense, has been the identity of the Stallions franchise as a whole, and, you would think holding a team to 22 points you'd be holding up that kind of moniker, but that really wasn't the case at all with this game. The Gamblers drove up and down the field all night. They had 233 passing yards, 174 rushing yards. Neither of those are really that good if you're a defensive guy or a defensive coach. And they largely came from their backup quarterback, Nolan Henderson. He entered the game towards the beginning of the second quarter as Hunter Deckers left with an injury. So for you as a defense to be giving up that much yardage to a backup quarterback, and I get it can be hard because it's not the guy you prepped for. He could have a different skill set. There's not film on him. But it's not ideal, certainly not ideal. Just a really, really tough night for them. I do want to point out Matt Corral. He had a decent day. It's not time for him for people to be calling for a quarterback battle or anything. He did throw for 227 yards and 2 touchdowns while going 21 for 27. So, you would think that's a pretty productive day, and it is to an extent. But he also threw 2 picks, and the 2 picks were pretty bad reads that went straight to defenders, both of which led to points for the Gamblers. You just limit even one of those and you win the game. He even had a couple more that were lucky to be incomplete. So we want to see a little bit more from him, but I've got all the confidence in the world in him. We know how talented he is. We saw what he did at Ole Miss. And it's the same thing just as for the offense as a whole. We know the talent that's on the offense. We've seen it, especially in the wide receiver room. We've seen Coach McCarron talk about it too. They've just got to find ways to put it all together. So they can definitely be a major offensive threat, and I think they will be as the season progresses and we get later into the year. Just the chemistry's not all there yet, and it's a new staff, some new guys, new quarterbacks. So it'll take time. No need to hit the panic button just yet. It's one loss, right? And we also don't know how good Houston is going to be. This could be, the second or third best team in the league for all we know. And then I do want to mention Coach McCarron's, feel for the game. Once again, it's his second game as a head coach, but he really just looks like a natural. I'll point this specific instance out. During the final drive of the game, the Gamblers, there were a lot of back and forth penalties and big plays that would eventually lead to that game-winning field goal. But really not to be lost in the midst of that was Coach McCarron's challenge on a blown 4th and 6 in which the Gamblers quarterback, Nolan Henderson, scrambled for a first down. However, there was an offensive holding on defense, or not an offensive holding. There was an offensive holding on defensive end, Armani Bledsoe, that McCarron was quickly able to spot and get recognized and get the foul called. He's still got, you can see that the Saban kind of in him, just really savvy, which is really impressive for somebody coaching their second game as a head coach. But like I mentioned, one of the worst traits of the Stallions tonight was just their discipline. Countless fouls, countless turnovers, just at really bad times too. There's certain times when you can get away with those kind of things, or I shouldn't say get away, but over the course of the football game, if a penalty like that happens at a certain time, it sucks, but it's not the end of the world. These ones were coming at the worst possible times on, failed 4th downs, 3rd downs, things like that. After they had a big play on offense, they'd have a holding call that backed it up. You can't afford to do that. You can't afford to have bad mistakes and for them to be at the worst possible times. You're not going to be able to, work through that. It's just not going to happen. But the Stallions are now 1-1 on the season, and they will look ahead to next Sunday, April 12th, when they take on the St. Louis Battlehawks at 2 p.m. It'll be the last leg of their 3-game opening road trip. So fans will be able to see them at home for the first time this season in 2 weeks when the Orlando Storm come to Birmingham. That's April 18th. Go ahead and secure your tickets now for that one. Again, that's April 18th. The Orlando Storm will come to Birmingham for the Stallions home opener. And I want to switch gears now a little bit to a little bit more of the miscellaneous things that we've got going on. The Birmingham Bulls are in the SPHL playoffs. They've got a best-of-3 series against Roanoke coming up. The first game will be in Pelham, so be sure you can get out to that one and see some postseason hockey. The other 2 games of that series will be in Roanoke, Virginia. But that's a great accomplishment for the Bulls and that whole organization. We wish them nothing but the best as they prepare for their postseason run. The Birmingham Barons season just got underway. They are facing the Chattanooga Lookouts this week. Thursday night is UAB night and Thirsty Thursday, so you've got kind of a 2-for-1 deal on some game events there. You'll have 275 beers and seltzers, and there is a ticket package that includes a Barons hat. So it's a great opportunity to get out and see some good minor league baseball. You've got some really, really good prospects on the squad. So definitely get out and support those guys. They're playing from the time of this recording all the way through Sunday. Every home series is Tuesday through Sunday. So whenever these guys are in town and playing a home series, be sure to get there now. The Legion, they play this Sunday at 4 against Pittsburgh. The first 1,000 fans will receive a bucket hat. So again, be sure to get out there and watch some good soccer. We've got one UAB transfer portal update, as Chance Westry has officially entered the portal, as the portal did officially open this past Tuesday, the day after the national title game. So that's going to be a big loss for them. He was a really, really big contributor for scoring, rebounding. He was a do-it-all kind of player, so he's going to be missed for sure. But I also know that Coach Kennedy is going to be very active in the portal, and he's had really good experience bringing guys in when needed to. Speaking of the portal in UAB, we want to congratulate Yaxel Lindeborg on winning a national title at Michigan. And as everybody knows in this area, he played at UAB for a couple seasons and was a standout player. There's no doubt that his time at UAB helped shape him to the player he is now, and that's winning a national title and moving on to the NBA draft. So that's big, big accomplishment for him, and we're super happy for him. But that's all the news that we have for you guys this week, so we're going to transition now into that interview with UAB SID Andy Poole. I want to thank him again for doing that, and we had a really good time, really good conversation, so I'm excited for you guys to hear it. Here it is. So we've got Andy Poole, UAB Baseball SID, with us today. Thank you for being with us. We really do appreciate it.
Josh, thank you for having me, man. Appreciate you.
And many say that you are the strongest SID in the country. I want to start there. There's been a video of you from a couple years ago that went around. It was viral, of you doing a bench press. Was that a
Yeah.
planned video, a spur of the moment thing?
I wasn't expecting the video to entirely blow up. It was kind of something that was planned kind of a couple days in advance because I knew the guys were lifting during their fall workouts. And so since it was bench day and I love to bench, I figured I would join the team in doing that. And so, we got kind of warmed up and everything, and the team finally got to where they were kind of leveling off there. Well, I was still going up, and I wanted to make sure I planned my workout days around, what the bench press was doing. And so lo and behold, somebody got video of it, and my boss posted without my permission. So just don't think that I actually was the one that posted that. That was my boss at the time. Ted Feely was the one that posted that, and so it didn't really help that Coach Dunn wanted Ted to do that as well. So I just kind of accepted it at that point. Just kind of roll with it, and I think it's pinned on my Twitter profile. I think it's got like 51,000 views or something like that. Just something stupid, but yeah, it was kind of a spur of the moment thing and just kind of exploded. So yeah.
That's pretty sweet. I got to ask, what weight was on the bar?
Oh, that was 315.
315.
That
Okay.
was 3 plates on each side.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. So, how did it feel just in the moment to have kind of a team hype you up? And you played college baseball, so
And
you're kind
I,
of
I
used to that
tell
feeling.
you, I tell you that I haven't been part of many experiences better than that one, just in terms of like just guys just being around you and hyping you up, and especially like s- just because I wasn't really a guy that was the strongest on the team growing up. I was always a guy that was just encouraging others to do their best and everything, just kind of supporting the team. Well, then it was kind of my time to finally like be in the spotlight a little bit, so I kind of just accepted at that point. It was really good to be around the guys that were just encouraging me. So it was just a good time.
Yeah, that's sweet. I mean, those are some of my favorite memories of when I was
Yeah.
playing too. Is just getting the guys in the weight room and just people, max day, everybody's hyping
Yeah,
each other up. It's awesome. But we wanted to bring you on a little bit today to talk some UAB baseball since you
do it,
guys are
man.
playing really, really well. But first, I wanted to ask a little more about you. You're a Trussville native. You played at Bessemer Academy.
Yeah.
When did you fall in love with baseball?
So I started to fall in love with the game of baseball at about the age of 5. When I was just playing in the yard with my dad growing up. He would just always throw to me and throw with me, and signed up for my first year of ball in the spring of 2007. So this is my 20th baseball season that I got to be a part of. Just staying with it all these years. And that kind of transformed into going from park ball to travel ball, then travel ball in middle school, high school. Then fortunately, I was fortunate enough to play in college too, and then now I'm fortunate enough to still be in college. Well, I say that still be in college. I'm still around the game of baseball, and I'm doing what I do at the collegiate level. So I consider myself very lucky to do what I'm doing.
Yeah, so you mentioned you played collegiate baseball. You
Yep.
started off at Miles. What
Yep.
went into that decision to go there? And then you did transfer to Johnson University
Yeah.
in East Tennessee. What went into the decision to transfer as well?
Yeah, so Coach Ty Roberts was the only coach to offer me out of high school, just due to the fact that I was injured coming out of my junior year and into my senior year. I didn't have anything, and so I was fortunate enough to get that offer in the fall of my senior year, and I accepted pretty much right when the season started in 2020, which was the COVID shortened year. So fortunately, I think I'm pretty lucky to have committed when I did, especially when the whole world shut down about 2 or 3 weeks later. So I started out at Miles in 2021. I moved on to Johnson University beginning in 2022, actually in the spring of 2022, after I had a brief semester at Bevel State in Fayette. Um, I played at Johnson for my latter 3 years of ball. The last season I played at Johnson was for Coach Dave Serrano, who is Tony Vitello's predecessor at the University of Tennessee. And Coach Serrano has done absolutely amazing at Johnson. He's turned the program into a top 5 team in the country. And so they're fighting for hosting a regional at this point. And so uh, that's how I got connected at Johnson. And yeah, I'm still connected with the university and just supporting them and whatever they do, as I'm still here at UAB because we don't play each other, so I can feel freely um, supporting them at the same time. So
Yeah, so it's safe to say you enjoyed your time up there and in that
I
area.
loved it. I'm actually in 2 weddings for 2 teammates back to back weeks towards the end of our season as well. So I'll be heading up there quite a bit.
That'll be awesome. Yeah, so I mentioned to you before we started recording, I'm from there, so I
Yeah.
adore that area as well. So at Johnson, you were pretty involved too. You weren't just on the baseball team. I saw that you were a PA announcer for basketball and volleyball. Do you think balancing those responsibilities helped you for your position now at UAB?
It actually did, and I'm very grateful that Coach Serrano was a little bit flexible with my schedule and doing what I want to do because at that point I don't want to make it say like I was like a bottom tier guy on the team, but I kind of understood my role on the team. And so that allowed me to where I could be like after practice, on days where there were volleyball and basketball games, Coach Serrano would allow me to do the public address announcing for Johnson volleyball and men's and women's basketball. And so I think that kind of allowed me to get a little bit of experience. I don't think it probably would have translated like this, like that did not help me get this job right here, that's for sure. But it allowed me to do something that I enjoyed doing, on the side of actually getting to play baseball itself. So it helped me get a little bit more of a taste of college athletics.
Yeah, do you still talk to Coach Toronto? What's that relationship like?
So I sent a text to Coach Serrano at the beginning of the season. Obviously, it's kind of busy right now, um, but I do keep in touch with Coach Serrano and even Coach Gary Mosiello, who is the first base coach at the University of Texas now, who is our hitting coach at Johnson in 2024. I try to keep in touch with them as much as I can. Obviously, during baseball season right now, it's a little bit hard to talk on a daily basis. But I've had a phone call and a couple of text exchange with with Coach Serrano at Johnson. He actually Coach Serrano was the coach at Tennessee when Mark Ingram and Dan Carlson were on staff there at the University of Tennessee as well. So they kind of go way back too. So
Yeah, he was their coach when I was growing up, so I went to
yeah.
plenty of games when he was there. So you mentioned you're at UAB now. You're the SID. So what are your
I
day-to-day
am.
responsibilities look like?
Well, fortunately, since we've seen a little bit of success recently, I've had some media inquiries going around where a couple of TV cameras have decided to reach out and come to our practices, which I'm very grateful for. I'm grateful for the coverage for the cameras that come down here. Um, so I've been involved with that this week heavily. I produce game notes for the TV broadcast. So last night, I had the privilege of getting to talk to Bart Gregory and Charlie Winfield at Mississippi State, who get to do their SEC Plus broadcast. And so I basically just feed them information about our team. I have to know like off the top of my head, like, hey, this is what this guy's about. Hey, tell this story about this guy, but hey, this guy's also close to a milestone. So it's important for them to know that information, but obviously, like, get their names right. Are their stats right? What's the story behind this guy? Like, how did he get here? And so that's another part of the puzzle that we have. Another thing that we do is social media, especially at a school this size, because at the Alabamas and the Auburns of the world, at a bigger school, they actually have somebody that does it for them. Whereas, at an institution like this, at a mid-major school, and believe it is more than just UAB, it's more like mid-major schools that, whereas, the SID actually has to do social media and stats in the same game while clipping stuff for social. So there's a time where I am, just doing three things at one time, trying to keep it balanced. And fortunately, I have a great support system around me to try to help that out. So that's the main, I'd say, three or four things that I get to do on a daily basis.
Yeah, you're staying busy, no doubt about that.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the success that you guys are having. You guys are playing some really good baseball. You've tied the second best start in school history. Just what's been clicking with the team so far?
I think the main thing that has stuck with us the entire season is the offensive production that we've had. Whereas we're hitting 290 as a team. We've hit 51 home runs. We're getting on base at about a 40% clip. We're getting on base, getting hit by pitches. We're taking walks. We're hitting a lot of home runs. So I think the consistency of that is really contributing to the success. We have five guys with five or more home runs. We have five guys hitting over 300 right now, which leads to that 290 average. And along with that, we've also stolen 57 bases. Excuse me, um, stolen 57 bases. So when guys are getting on base, I've talked to a few guys where they say, like, if I get on base, like, I know I'm going to score, just because of the different ways that this offense can come at you. Um, Whereas on the pitching side, they've really started to come about in the last 7 or 8 games. In fact, I think in the last 10, they've allowed 4 runs or fewer in six of them. So they've really began to turn it around here recently, especially I'd say once conference play has started. In this little 10 game stretch that we've had going on, they have really shown their success. You could attribute that maybe to the strength of schedule, or maybe you can say, hey, they're just finally hitting their stride. But there are a lot of components that we have that are going for us right now.
Yeah, so in the preseason, you guys were picked to finish last in the American. You've still got
Yep.
a ways to go,
Yep.
but did you see anything early on in camp that led you to believe this team was being overlooked?
I was actually amazed that we were actually picked so low, but I could also understand it because without Wesley Helms and without Alex Cheeseman, I'll even throw Alex Cheeseman in there too. Without those two guys, we wouldn't have a single starter coming back. So I can understand from a team that finished in the bottom of the league last year, not returning anybody. We lost 26 players from last year's team. Um, and we were picked last. So I think that gave the guys a chip on their shoulder coming in. I know that Coach Dunn kind of set the precedent earlier in the season that said, "Hey, this is not acceptable for the team." And it was nothing that the team did. It was basically like last year's expectations going in this year. So, hey, we don't have anybody left. So basically, from that point on, it kind of gave guys chip on their shoulder to try to work for something. I don't think anybody I don't think anybody outside of this program really knew like what we were about. They could just base off of prior assumptions for what we've done in the past, but I mean, it just gave a lot of hungry guys just something to work for, and they've put their head down, they've worked together, and they've done very, very well at it.
Yeah, so you mentioned you had a lot of roster turnover this year. When portal season comes around, is that something that you're directly involved in?
I am in charge of I would say I do keep up with it. It's mainly from coaches. Like I don't really keep up with like individual players and all that stuff. I just know that, hey, if a guy leaves, like I'll like kind of keep an eye on that. Or if a guy comes in, like if a coach tells me like, hey, like we got this guy coming in, I'll do my best to try to find something on those guys. Like I know I did a lot of that last summer when a bunch of guys were coming in. Um, Really, on this team, we only have about four Division I players that actually came in. The rest are junior college and high school kids. I think we have either 9 or 10 junior college guys and about 6 freshmen that came in this year. And only one of those Division I guys is really contributing, and that's Kevin Hall at the top of the order. Um, Unless I'm forgetting something, and please forgive me if I do. But Kevin is the one that really stands out to me. He's the one that's getting on, getting over. He leads the team with 12 stolen bases this year. He's hitting 327. So once Kevin gets going, the rest of the team will go as well.
And you've already mentioned a couple of the guys that are having some really good years.
Oh, yeah.
Seven different players have been honored in 5 different weeks,
Yep.
including four different players the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
Just who are some other guys that casual fans need to be aware of on this team?
Yeah, even though they haven't won any awards, I think Kevin Hall is definitely one of the guys that people need to pay attention to. Just with how versatile he is, he's a top of the order guy. Can steal a lot of bases and plays pretty good defense in center field. Um, Wesley Helms just got his first conference award last week. He's been an anchor at first base for us. I think he's only made one error in about 250 attempts this season, so he's been very good defensively as well. Andrew Hunt's been coming on really this entire season. He's had a very good start to the year. Obviously, the big name around the lineup is going to be JP Head. He's hit 13 home runs. That still leads the conference. He is 13 of our 51 total home runs. He's one of the guys that's hitting above 300 as well. Alex Dupuis is from LSU Eunice. He's been an everyday guy at third base. He's been a guy that's going to be consistent, that can occasionally run the ball out of the yard here and there. And then on the mound, I think probably the MVP of the team is going to be Mason Steele, which I know that we've had all this offensive success, but Mason is sitting there. He's had 5 straight quality starts. He's got an ERA under 4 now. He leads the team in strikeouts and innings pitched. So he's basically the tone setter of the weekend. You throw him on Fridays and you follow him up with Brendan Connor, and we just about got a Friday night win to start out the series. So I think what Mason does for us on a weekly basis is incredibly important for our success. Kind of sets the tone on the weekend, saves our pitching staff a little bit, and hopefully we can get hopefully we can get a couple wins out of the weekend.
Yeah. So yesterday you guys took on top 10 Mississippi State. You didn't beat them, but you definitely played them hard and you pushed them. So as the SID, you're around this team. What is the talent gap like for UAB versus, say, an average SEC team?
I know that people kind of look at us and as a mid-major school, like, oh, we're not ranked or anything. Oh, just in the American Conference, compete with these big SEC schools. And honestly, I mean, there's going to be teams that are more talented than us, rightfully so. There's probably several teams that are more talented than us, but the amount of heart that this team has and the effort that they put forth each and every day, guys that want to be on the field, there really isn't much difference between, us and like a maybe like a SEC school, whereas they're going to have the numbers that get them to where they're at, but you still got to play all 9 innings, man. I mean, you saw Jacksonville State run rule Auburn last night, whereas obviously Auburn got the best of us earlier in the year, but we beat Jacksonville State. And Jacksonville State, if they keep winning, that's an at-large team in the NCAA tournament. So I mean, so not only for teams like UAB, but Jacksonville State, who is undefeated in their league. They can make some noise in the NCAA tournament. And you saw Coastal Carolina last year in the national championship series against LSU. There are teams that can play in mid-major baseball that, maybe not the average fan will know. So I think just having that, on our side, just kind of having that chip on our shoulder and that extra motivation when we do play those P4 schools. And I would throw Cincinnati in there too. We had the opportunity to play Cincinnati at home for 4 games earlier in the year, and we got two of them. Obviously, they took two of us, but we've already beaten Cincinnati twice this year. We played Florida on opening weekend, and we won the opening game of the season at Florida. We're in the geography to play Auburn, Alabama, Mississippi State, all these good teams, that we're fortunate enough to play. And so that gives us a little bit of exposure and obviously the opportunity to get to play these guys.
Yeah, so when you guys go on the road to these big Power Four schools, are you there with them or are you staying
I
back?
yes, I will travel with the team for every single game this season. Actually, that is part of my job. I will travel with them everywhere. They take me everywhere, and I'm very grateful to kind of do what I do, and that kind of motivates me sometimes. I'm very fortunate to be where I'm at. Um, just to get the opportunity that maybe not many other people have, unlike I do. So I'm very happy to be where I'm at.
So of these bigger ballparks that you've been able to go to, what are some of your favorites that you've been able to experience?
That's actually a great question. Obviously, Mississippi State is going to be probably your A1 tier ballpark, I would say. And any team in the SEC that we've been to, I think I've been to four ballparks now as a working capacity. I think I've been to four now. Um, been to Auburn, I've been to Alabama, I've been to Florida. I thought very much of Florida's ballpark when we went down there to open the year. This is going to come as a surprise, actually, but my favorite ballpark that I went to last year was actually Wichita State, who's coming in this weekend.
Really?
They had some good teams back in the 90s or maybe 2000s, I want to say. And so that they got the support at that time to kind of really do their ballpark nice, and they have a beautiful grandstand. They have a fully turf field with a great video board. Uh, and so I think last year I would say Wichita State was probably my favorite ballpark that we went to. Yeah, of course you have the SEC parks on the side, but I would say Wichita is probably up towards the top. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a unique answer. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. I didn't know that. So I want to kind of look ahead now to what might be to come for this team. So just kind of a path to what the postseason looks like. Do you believe that you guys have a resume worthy of an at-large? Are you guys going to have to win the American tournament? Just how do you think that's going to play out?
I actually saw a projection today where we are one of the last four teams in, according to Baseball America. I do think that we have the strength of schedule, especially once we get to play Alabama, who's surging lately. We still have to play them twice. We still have to play Auburn once more. We just got done playing Mississippi State. And we still have to play South Florida. We still have to play UTSA. So I think our strength of schedule will be fine. We just have to take care of the teams that we are now supposed to beat. Maybe not that we thought that we would at the beginning of the season, but now that it's kind of a little bit more clear now. We have that confidence knowing that, hey, we can go toe to toe with these teams. Hey, we can take two out of three, maybe even sweep some of these teams, which we fully expect to do now because we have that confidence that we're playing with. Um, our RPI is sitting at 31 right now, according to the NCAA website, which is fantastic for, if you're maybe an at-large team or a bubble team or something like that. So where, hey, maybe if we don't win it all in Clearwater, we have that to fall back on. Now, obviously, we can't get complacent because we still have to build the resume like everybody else is. But we've definitely given us a shot. We've definitely given ourselves a shot right now. We just have to keep building and keep winning the series that we're supposed to. Um, I think we've only lost, like straight up lost, only two series this entire year, and they're both the quad one teams. We lost two out of three at Florida, and we lost two out of three at East Carolina. Um, whereas we've we split with Cincinnati and we've won every other series somehow, some way, whether it's two out of three or swept the team. So we've definitely given ourselves a great opportunity. Now we just have to go out there and execute.
Yeah. Well, I've got just a couple more questions before I let you get out of here. Just first, is there anything else that you want people to know about this team before we get to the home stretch of this season?
Man, I mean, this is an incredible team to be around. I really do think that this is certainly one of the most friendly and one of the most fun teams I have personally been around in my time in baseball. These are guys that want to be together, that want to be on the field, that want to play here at UAB. And fortunately, not only do we have like fun players and good players, but we also have great families too. I do want to give a shout out to the Blazer Den who's on Twitter. If you ever seen that going around, it's just a few dads and they're just having fun, man. They have a little leprechaun that they bring around that's like a stuffed animal. And so every time that we hit a home run, you got to show love to the Blazer Den out there, man. So I do think that the camaraderie and honestly the vibes that are really good surrounding this program right now. And honestly, like I know that the common belief is that, hey, maybe we don't have enough seating at our home field, and maybe that's true, but I mean, that entire family section over there, they just bring the lawn chairs, man. I mean, we have Bark at the Park this weekend on Saturday. You just come out there, bring your lawn chair, and bring your dogs, and come pick up a dog bandana. And we'll all have a good time together. Um, but th this truly is a fun team to be around, and I would love for more people than just a couple hundred people that are around our program to really understand that. Just give us a chance. We're not asking for the whole meal. We're just asking for a seat at the table, man. And if you give us that opportunity, we're gonna we're gonna make the most of it. Birmingham loves baseball, and so hopefully we can give you another reason to come out.
Yeah, you mentioned the games you've got this weekend and some more events that are upcoming. What's the best way for fans to get tickets to go see this team in person?
I would go to the website uabsports.com and find our ticket page, and you have the option to buy a gold card for I believe 60 or $65. The value is probably gone down just a little bit just in terms of how many games you can go to, but you can also still buy single game tickets. And I truly believe that we have one of the best ticket prices in town. I mean, it is extremely affordable for great value. I know it's that way with basketball too, especially now that people are seeing this success right here. I don't see why people wouldn't come to our games at home, especially with how well we're doing. We've like you said earlier, we are tied for the second best start in school history. Some we've only done six times ever in the 48-year history of UAB baseball. And so I personally am excited to see uh, our fans come out, support this team, not only this weekend, but also for on Tuesday when Alabama comes to town. And even later on, as we keep going through this season, we still have Auburn playing at Regents Field out on May 5th. And then, of course, we still have our American series at home, which are equally as important in my opinion. So, any support that people have for this program would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah. Well, Andy, that's all I have for you. I want to thank you for coming on. We really do appreciate it. And we'll be pulling for you guys the rest of the way. We wish you the best of luck.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate you.